Hello everyone, so welcome to this other BI4ALL talks. So my name is Sandro Scordo, and I'm the Head of Data Strategy and Governance Center of Excellence at BI4ALL. With me I have Diogo. Diogo, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you very much, Sandro. So I'm Diogo, I'm from Microsoft. I'm a data and AI specialist at Microsoft, and I have a big focus on Microsoft Purview.
Great. So, Diogo, we are here to talk today about data strategy and governance and Microsoft Purview. And the key question is why we need a data strategy and governance for a successful implementation of Microsoft Purview at scale. So, first question that I would like to ask you is around what Microsoft Purview is. So, I think people watching, most of them likely are techie, they might know this, but for the people that are less techie, what is Microsoft Purview in a nutshell?
Yeah, great question. So Microsoft Purview is essentially what we try to understand as a data catalog, okay? It's a data governance solution where we're kind of merging in a unified portal both risk and compliance components and also the data catalog side, where we have an organization of everything that is in the data state of any company and bringing in everything from lineage to anywhere else from reporting.
Okay, that makes definitely sense. You just touched base on lineage, but I think the people that are watching, they would like to understand what are the key components. So what are the key components of Microsoft Purview?
Purview has come a little bit on a bit of a path to these big components, but let's say that the main components here are within the data catalog, and we also have a bit of a data map. Within the data catalog, we have what we're calling business domains, which is where you essentially gather the correct domains within a company. So let's say you have HR data, you have finance data, and you have, let's say, sales data. Yeah. That's a big component of Purview. We also have data quality as one of the big ones that has come up. It's essentially a way for you to monitor, based on various different dimensions of data quality, how all of your data state is as a percentage of what you set as a rule. I believe one of the biggest components here is also critical data elements. Critical data elements is essentially a way for you to gather various scattered data within your estates that you have in your data catalog and bringing one single source of data which you set as critical, okay? And you can set rules for all of those.
Yeah, makes sense. And I think critical data elements it's important for us because for many organizations can represent the starting point of the data governance initiative, isn't it? So we got for example, multiple clients that start wondering why some data is more important than other. So what is this data? So because ultimately we do data well because we would like to focus on what actually matters for the business, isn't it? So this is something we've been discussing in the past already, and we've been actually identifying, isn't it, with the step-by-step approach that at BI4ALL we designed as an accelerator. So basically the company that would like to implement Purview can actually benefit from standardized, let's say, well-known, let's say, tried through approach that is the step-by-step approach of BI4ALL, where actually we go and we identify the critical data elements, or the data elements that are essential for the business to function, by digging into the various business processes, but also data architecture within the organization. And that is actually a great point, because without those, we might talk about data, but actually we are not focusing on the right element. For example, for some companies, social media data can be a big thing. For others, social media data is just a nice to have, for example. What about instead the data products? What about data products and Purview?
So data products is actually a new component or a new feature of Purview, and much like critical data elements, it had been requested by many customers, and it's essentially just a group of assets. So whenever you bring data into Purview, what you're doing is you're bringing various different assets, and by an asset, what we mean is it can be a SQL table, it can be a Power BI report, or a report from any type of third-party app that we also have connections to. And it can also be, for example, a data pipeline, okay? Any type of transformation. If you gather all of those, let's say a SQL table, a report, another SQL table from a different server into one different component, we're calling it a data product. And we're essentially giving access to people to those data products based on the use cases that they can do. Okay, so maybe that SQL table with a Power BI report can have a great use for certain types of users. Okay, and we can specify that by determining, for example, there's ways that people who publish these data products can essentially say how they can use those data products. Okay, so there's kind of a data contract, let's say.
Makes sense.
And the users can speak about that.
That makes definitely sense, indeed. And I think we can focus on why companies need Purview, why they come to you, or sometimes they come to us actually, for the implementation of Microsoft Purview. What drives them?
We've been seeing a lot of customers kind of trying to jump in to different types of projects where they want to implement AI. But if you want to implement AI, there's no good AI with bad data. Okay, so you need to understand your data, what you have, and setting the correct roles within the company. We do see that as an issue if customers are jumping into those projects, as you might probably know, which is if they don't have the structures set well, roles defined like data stewards, who is actually going to consume the data and everything like that, we can't really have a successful project, okay? And that creates more problems in the end. What we're trying to do essentially, and what people find value or customers find value in Purview, is being able to essentially organize that before going into, let's say, creating a bigger data warehouse or an analytics project where the data is actually being used in production. Okay? And that's the big need here.
Yeah, we experience customers coming to us say, look, I just need Purview because I need this specific functionality. And it does depend. Sometimes you can do a very good proof of concept, okay? Sometimes happens that actually the customer is happy about this. But then when it comes to bringing this to life, we found customers are be struggling it because they do not have the infrastructure, for example, or they simply do not have the plan. Yeah, and that's why we push on the pre-work that needs to be done before Purview, isn't it? Before the implementation of Purview itself. And why that? Because people like that the proof of concept needs to offer an excellent return on investment, and needs to be just at the starting point of something bigger, which is basically the full adoption, the adoption at scale, which is basically what I've been discussing at the beginning, isn't it? Do you have maybe some use case that you would like to mention to us, maybe without talking about the customer specifically, but do you want to share some use case?
There is a few actually, but we do have a lot of use cases where customers have already thought about this, about data governance, and you probably know as partners understand how things are normally implemented. But we do have customers who sometimes work on Excel to create, for example, a business glossary, and they might want to merge things into just one tool. Maybe they've even created data policies where it's essentially rules for them to how to actually interact with certain types of data. Okay, and they're essentially trying to merge everything into that one product. And we're trying to implement the templates that they have into Purview. That happens a lot, and the evolution of Purview has come a lot from the feedback that we've had from customers. So we've had customers who have technical names and then business names for certain tables, for example, and those are now being implemented in Purview because of the feedback. Okay? But those are the main ones. And then we have a network of others, which is essentially the customers that they know that they need to do something, but they're asking us to help them understand what type of technologies they use. And I'd say we rely a lot on partners like BI4ALL for those kinds of things, because the work before we don't do, we can help and guide the customer in understanding what they could do, but then partners like BI4ALL, where you have the COE, could potentially help that customer in that journey to then use the technology.
Yeah, and that is a good point, because that's why we also wrote an article about this, isn't it? To blend both worlds, the world of the implementation with the consultancy approach that guides the customer through the adoption in a, let's say, safe manner, but also with the longer term view, longer term perspective, or better, enterprise perspective. And yes, it's going to be crucial to listen to the business first. Often customers, where the primary customers can be head of data or IT leaders, that they already know a bit about the customer, about their colleagues. Okay, they already know about their colleagues. But the point is, do we truly know what the company knows transversally? Because catalogs like Purview needs to be adopted transversally throughout the company. Purview is to scale the data. I mean, the meaning for existing Purview is to scale the data initiative, to make the people utilize the data. We would like the data to be democratized. It's something that actually we listen often, isn't it, about this? So through this methodical approach, the business can be listened to, and there are some tools for that. For example, data maturity assessment. Data maturity assessment is not a questionnaire where people simply fill out a box and they say, yes, I respond to this question, and this is the level of maturity that I think. It should not be an exercise like that. It should be an opportunity to discuss with the business. So that's why in our approach we make lots of emphasis on following up the maturity assessment with interviews, so one-to-one interviews, where we listen to the pain point of the customer, and we take a note, we act upon it, we strategize around these pain points, these use cases that are very important, very close to the heart of our customers.
It's a continuous cycle, essentially, right?
It is a continuous cycle that needs to be brought to life first during this step-by-step approach that we just put in the article, basically, but also needs to be kept alive by the customer itself, by constantly reviewing the strategy and checking how to make the most out of Purview in this sense. This Purview is an enabler to us. It's not the our landing place. Is not where we are going to. It's not the final goal. The goal is to make people utilize Purview post-pilot, post-POC or pilot event.
That's actually a bit of the way that us, Microsoft, are trying to essentially position Purview, which is it's technology enabled, so it's data governance technology enabled. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're not going to invent data governance from Purview. Okay, yeah. Purview is just something that you can rely on to practice data governance. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And it's great that with the step-by-step approach, you're essentially enabling the customer to do that with afterwards a technology. Okay, yeah. Yeah. And there's a big component there where you spoke about the maturity assessment, where you're kind of trying to implement a data culture there. Because, yeah, as you said, and it's something that from the Microsoft side we've seen, it is before, so Microsoft Purview Data Governance, which is what it is now, mm-hmm, it used to be something more on the technical side. We're trying to implement now a second phase where even on the executive level, yep, they can actually create reports based on Purview to understand what is happening in the company, okay? Yep. And kind of connecting that with what we're calling OKRs, mm-hmm, the objectives and key results. Yep. We're mapping the objectives and the goals of the company to anything that's data related.
Yeah, that is crucial indeed, because the product itself is designed for the enterprise perspective. But again, how do we define the OKRs? How do we think at how make the most out of Purview? So they need to do the data strategy. So it's crucial that a data strategy is there present and leverages this type of functionalities that the Purview offers. So it's like a Purview is showing implicitly how utilize data properly. It's down to us to make sure that we put in place a set of plans that make us utilize the product as it should be. Okay, so basically utilize the product properly to have a strong way and let's say an efficient way to utilize data as well. But this, let's say, this is where we're talking about the best case scenario, because it happened to us that often, and this is actually one of the pain points that I encounter, customers, they know about Purview, they would like to explore about Purview, but actually they are IT driven. So what I mean IT driven, there is not a data culture in place. I think this can be in the list of let's say pain point around the adoption of Purview. So shall we talk about the risks of adopting Purview without data governance? What is from your perspective? What are the risks in your perspective?
So even internally, if we're trying out a new product, okay, yeah, we're trying it out before putting it into the public. Mm-hmm. We're essentially trying to understand how the product works without no structure. Okay. Yeah. From my observations and from what I've been seeing, the risks are a bit of, let's say, anarchy in your data catalog. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you don't have an actual structure, yeah, you'll have everyone in the company trying things out, yeah, and they will be creating data products, they will be creating data domains, and then suddenly you'll have a data catalog that has everything. Nothing is structured, so you can have essentially kind of a parent domain, and then below it have different subdomains. And if you do not have any structure below it, you don't inform people within the company how to use it, you're essentially having a big risk of no adoption. So customers use it, or people in the company, consumers will use it, but they will not like it. And first impressions do count, okay? So if a customer does not like the product, it's very difficult for them to afterwards come back and then enjoy it again. Okay, so that is one of the biggest components of a good use of Purview.
Indeed, so the engagement is crucial. That is one of the, let's say, point of failure when it comes to implementing a catalog, and actually thinking at what are the issues there in scenario like that. Just the lack of understanding of what data governance is. I mean, data governance is a difficult concept because it's pretty abstract. So one of the ways that I like to explain this concept is all around explain that with data governance we hack the way an organization works. Is basically entering the day-to-day of an organization and rethinking the way that processes are currently done and how processes can be improved by leveraging technologies such as Microsoft Purview. Let's say that we don't want to build a cathedral in the desert, isn't it? That is what it's all about. Okay. Diogo, is there anything else before we wrap up?
I think one of the things that is quite important about what we've spoken about is a collaboration between the business and the technical side.
Yeah.
Okay? Most of what we've spoken about can have a technical aspect, but also can have a business side.
Crucial. Yeah.
If we don't understand what the return on investment of using and creating a framework like this is, we will not have a successful implementation. So I think I'd say I wanted to finish with that thought because it's a crucial one there.
Indeed, and that makes sense, and thanks for bringing that up because without business we don't go indeed anywhere. We do this indeed for the business first. Okay, so thank you, Diogo. So thank you everyone for watching this episode. If you have any comments, feel free to comment here, and hopefully you enjoyed. I wish you a good rest of your day. Bye.